Alright, so sometimes in life a crack happens, but I'm going to show you today how to fix it. Last week, and you can see that it's developed a crack and then a tiny little something over here. You can kind of feel it more than you can see it. So today I'm going to show you how to fix that. So let me get started here and we'll show you what we're doing. So we have some slow cure epoxy. And this is Bob Smith Industries. This is the kind that I use. This is 30-minute epoxy. So this is the epoxy, and this is the hardener, or vice versa, whatever. So a note about epoxy: you want to make sure that your epoxy is at a good temperature. Right now we're like 64 degrees in the wood shop. That's too cold. So this has been inside all night at room temperature, and then I just put it in some hot water, and you can see it's flowing pretty well. So that's what you want. Okay, so we got two things of that. We need a putty knife of some sort. We need some tape, and then we need something to mix on. So let me get that together and I'll bring you right back. Okay, so I'm going to put out, this is the epoxy. And so I'm just going to put a little bit. We don't need a lot. And then for the hardener, of course, you know you want the same amount, identical amounts. So I thought it looks pretty close. Okay, and so of course you want to make sure you mix it up really, really well. Okay, so on this crack we need to make a decision. Either we're going to apply tape to cover up the crack on the inside or outside. We need to do one or the other, because if you don't, it will run out. And so we need to make a decision. So I think we're going to go ahead and tape on the inside of the crack here, and we'll use some blue painter's tape. Alright, so I've got the tape on the inside of the bowl on this side. The other crack on the other side doesn't need it. It's not through, so we won't worry about that one. We'll just put a little epoxy in it. And so basically what we're just going to do is just force a little epoxy into that crack. And the good thing about this 30-minute epoxy is you have a long time to work on it. A lot of times what I'll do is after I apply it, I'll let it sit, you know, for 20 or 25 minutes, and then I'll come back and check it. And if I need to, you know, do any extra filling in or anything, it's still tacky enough to where I can do that. Now, of course, after it goes the 30 minutes, you really shouldn't touch it anymore. And I'm just placing this on here, so fill in all the cracks. So epoxy has been applied to both sides. You can see that it's a little shiny on that. So now this epoxy will have to sit again for 30 minutes, and that's when it stops being workable. And then we'll have to wait 24 hours before we can go on to the next step. However, I did this one last night. The second bowl, or the third bowl that I did, also developed a crack right there, which I kind of thought it would. But it's not through all the way. It's just partially through. So I went ahead and filled it in with some epoxy last night so I could show you our next step, which is over at the lathe. Okay, so what we've got here is I've put it back on the lathe on the chuck. You always run the risk when you do this of it not being quite in a line, especially if it's dry just a little bit from there, but I've got it pretty true. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back through all my grits. And so I've got 60, and then 100, 150, and then 220, and then I think this is 400. And so I'll just go back through all the grits until I get down to this is removed and I'm back smooth again. Of course, on the inside I don't have to do the inside because I didn't do anything to it. And then we'll apply our finish back again, some more beeswax. Alright, so I'm going to put some more of the beeswax salad bowl finish back on it, and I'm going to turn it on slowest speed in reverse, obviously, and I'm just going to put this back on here. So we are now repaired. Here's our repair area. You really can't see the epoxy except on that very widest part, but if you probably didn't tell anybody, they probably would never know that. And you can fix wider cracks as well. They make lots of different types of fillers. You can put sawdust in it. You can put all kinds of ground up jewels and gemstones and that sort of thing, and dust in there, and fill that in with epoxy. So this is just one way to do it to fix a very minor crack. And so this bowl will be enjoyed hopefully for a long time, or you can toss it in the firewood. So anyway, thanks for stopping by the wood shop. Take it easy.